Turin laid my sights. The Piedmontese let my army pass. The Austrians under Beaulieu fell back on Milan. I pressed hard and caught them at Lodi. Sebottendorf can read a battlefield. He can see that I must send men over the only bridge across the River Po and take on his men on the east bank. But can he see what is coming next?
A good day to you all. This is Lord Sharpie, and welcome back to another video. Yes, so today we are on Napoleon Total War. Yes, so we are playing vanilla Napoleon Total War. I thought I'd take a bit of a break from the Empire Total War Prussian campaign. I figured those episodes take a bit longer to make, and obviously they are longer in duration, but I thought it might be a bit more fun just to go back to, you know, a core vanilla basic version of a Total War game. So I picked Napoleon. Napoleon is one of my favorite Total Wars in terms of the base game, the vanilla version, because it's a lot more grounded, or sorry, it's a lot more rounded, I should say, than what you see in Empire. You know, the uniforms are a bit more accurate. There's a bit more depth to the game. The sound is a bit more realistic. It's just an upgraded version of Empire, essentially. Although it does have its limitations. Like, for example, the campaign. Like, you can't campaign in America or India like you can in Empire. But the Europe map that they have is pretty good. But nonetheless, we are here. And I thought it would be a little fun thing to play. So Empire Total War has like historic battles, and there's not many of them, but they do have a few, like the Battle of Fontenoy and Brandywine Creek. Napoleon Total War has a similar thing, but it follows the battles, some of the key battles of Napoleon's career. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun idea to go through all the battles that is in the base game. It starts off with the Battle of Lodi, or Lodi, in 1796, which was one of Napoleon's earliest victories, one of his earliest great victories. And there are a lot of legendary scenes from that battle. Famously, there's a bridge that Napoleon urges his men to cross. And it's a suicidal attack by the French infantry, but they manage to push the Austrians off the bridge. But yeah, here we are. So we'll start the battle now. It gives a bit of a background to the battle. So we'll play it now.
May 10th, 1796. After 2 days of forced marching, my army has caught the retreating Austrian army at Lodi. This is the time to strike. The Austrian rear guard is separated from the main army and vulnerable until it can reach the safety of the town. General Beaulieu is forced to stay on the battlefield to oversee the Austrian retreat. We must capture or kill the Austrian general and much of his force to end Austrian interests in northwest Italy. If Beaulieu is removed, the French can pen the Austrians in Lombardy into the fortress at Mantua. I must prevent Beaulieu from escaping the battlefield.
Yes, so historically, as it was pretty much said there, the Austrians are on the retreat at this point. The French are pursuing them, and as you can see here, you've got the remnants of the Austrian rear guard moving into the town of Lodi, the town of Lodi itself. You have John Beaulieu here, the Austrian commander. Here he is here. Our job is to kill him in this battle. Historically, that was not the objective of the French. It was not Napoleon's. It was not the practice of Napoleon to simply go around killing generals, and that's how you won battles. So I think the game is taking some creative liberties there. But the game is limited in in sort of its ability. So obviously the Battle of Lodi was a much bigger battle in terms of the map. So this is the famous bridge of Lodi here. This bridge did not look anything like this, and it was a much larger bridge. So it's not entirely accurate. It's just a basic, a rough idea of what the battlefield looked like. Although there are some pretty key units. So here you've got the Lombardy Legion. So these are like Italian, ethnic Italian soldiers. And they've got some pretty sick uniforms. Their hats are pretty cool, I must say. And of course you've got the Grenadiers with the bearskins. These are essentially the predecessors to the Imperial Guard. A lot of the members of the Imperial Guard served with Napoleon right through from this battle, this campaign, all the way, in some cases, all the way up until the Waterloo campaign in 1815, about 25 years later. Or 20 years later, I should say. And then you've got the revolutionary infantry here. So you can see here, they depict it pretty well. This is a pretty good depiction of like the French army of the Italian campaign. Not wearing any shoes, pretty raggedy, ripped up breeches. Pretty good example of, it's a pretty good the depiction of the French army of the Italian campaign. Famously, Napoleon is given command of the French army in Italy, and it's part of this broader effort where there are essentially three main armies fighting the Austrians. You have the army of the north, there's an army of the centre, and then you've got the southern army, which is this one here, commanded by Napoleon. The southern army was definitely not the main effort for the French. It was very much a sideshow, a secondary effort, if you will, and it was not. The main effort was the two armies to the north fighting on the Rhine, the main Austrian armies up there, and that's where the bulk of the Austrian troops were. They were fighting in up in what is now Germany, and along the Rhine. And you've got one of the notable commanders up there in the north is General Moreau, a pretty notable French general of the period, who would go on to win a pretty big victory in 1800 at the Battle of Hohenlinden. But at the moment, that is 4 years away. Let's focus on what we have here. So this is currently 1796. It's early in the Italian campaign. Napoleon has already made a name for himself by this point. So the Italian campaign starts off with a signature, what will become a signature Napoleonic tactic, and that is splitting up armies. So what he famously did was the Austrians were allied to the Sardinians. The Sardinians sort of neighboured. They are an Italian. They're a province, or they were a country in northern Italy, and because the Austrians had a pretty big influence in Italy, they had a lot of troops down there, and they were allied to the Sardinians. And Napoleon realised, well, if I can split up the Sardinians and the Austrians, so pretty much push through their centre and split the two armies up. It sounds pretty familiar, right? You'll see this again at Waterloo, at the end of the Napoleonic Wars. If he can do that and then take each army on at a time, he can win. And that's essentially what he does. He takes on the Sardinians first. He gives them a damn good thrashing, if you will. And then he turns to face the Austrians. And this is one of the major battles. Essentially, the Austrians are on the retreat because they can't link up with the Sardinians, and they realise all hope is lost in terms of linking up with them. So they're on the retreat, and Napoleon is on the pursuit. And that's where we are right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead, go straight into the battle. So we start off with 3 cavalry regiments. We've got Landwehr units. So the Austrian Landwehr are kind of like their militia units, so they're of poorer quality, which means they're more prone to getting pretty much annihilated by cavalry. So I'm going to send them straight away to attack the Austrian rearguard. We've got a lot of French infantry here. I'm going to send them up with artillery support. So let's get them behind the artillery. just over here. I'm going to extend my infantry sort of up here. So we've made contact with the landwehr here. What I am going to do is push up to the hill because it doesn't do to cavalry charge up a hill. Let's get the cavalry up here if we can. My plan is we're going to get our infantry positioned up next to the artillery. I'm going to use this artillery to destroy this house here because, as you can see, there are some Austrian troops inside. There's some Grenzers. The Grenzers were famously Croatian, of Croatian descent, so they're Croatian troops essentially. Obviously, at this point, the Austrian or the Habsburg Empire very multicultural. So you can see you've got Germans here. You've got obviously Croatians, as I mentioned before. You should have Hungarians as well, but I'm not seeing any Hungarians anyway. No, I'm not seeing any. Mostly Germans and Croatians. That's alright. How are we going here? I lost track. We're beating the Austrians here. Who have we got here? We should definitely charge their Grenzers. So Grenzers are light infantry, so they can shoot further. But they're, in terms of hand-to-hand combat, they're not as good as the regulars. So they're like the Fusiliers. We're not doing too well here, actually. The Austrians are wavering here, but we are taking too many casualties for my liking. Let's get this artillery unlimbered. We're shooting some of the Grenzers here. We've unlimbered those guns. Oh, okay. Yep. Nice. Stop shooting. Stop shooting. We don't want friendly fire. Alright, we're going to push the infantry out here. Let's push them here as well. Artillery is focusing on that building there. Yep, look at that. You beauty. The Austrian, or the Grenzers are formed up here. And there we go. This building is halfway destroyed. Cool, we've taken out the Grenzers here. Perfect. We can probably... Nah, I'm going to let them get away. Actually, yeah, no, I'm not going to concern myself too much with that. Let's... These Croats a bit of a thorn in my side at the moment. Essentially my plan at this stage... oh, awesome, we won this engagement over here. My plan at this stage is to essentially attack the Austrians across the river here. So I'm going to tend to cross the river here because it's weak, lightly defended. They've got Fusiliers and a Grenzer regiment, as well as some artillery. If I can outflank and get behind the rear of the Austrians, then we can go ahead and essentially sweep up the Austrians, because these guys are going to withdraw across the bridge here. They're withdrawing to this side of the town. Looks like we've destroyed this building though, along with the Austrians inside. That was not my intention, but I'll take it. I will take it. As you can see, the Austrians are starting to group up a lot in the centre here. So I think this is a juicy target for artillery. So I'm going to go ahead and get my artillery to shoot down the street. And look at that. Oh, don't you love to see it. The Austrians are in shambles. Now we, of course, have the light infantry here that can shoot further. So my intent is to bring them pretty close to the river. So we can essentially shoot the Fusiliers while they can't shoot us back. Because obviously the light infantry has a bigger range, or a longer range, than the regular Austrian infantry, or just regular infantry in general. So as we can see here, the Austrians in absolute shambles. They're taking very heavy casualties. The remaining troops are retreating across the river. I intend to... I'll form my troops up here, actually. I intend to beat back these two regiments here, and then mobilise my cavalry I still have healthy cavalry regiments, which is good. I can use them to then cross the river, take out that artillery, which is now apparently moving, and then essentially go behind, take out Johann Beaulieu, or Beaulieu, I can't pronounce that for some reason, but essentially kill him, and once we kill him, it pretty much decimates the Austrian, or the morale of the Austrian army. They lose cohesion. They're already losing cohesion. And that'll be pretty much the nail in the coffin for them. I'm pretty happy with how this battle has started, actually. By the way, this is set to very hard, so all these battles I'm doing, I'm putting the difficulty at very hard. Now, what this usually means is it doesn't mean that the AI plays smarter or harder. It just means that it is harder to, or it is more difficult to take out troops. So essentially, it becomes biased towards the player, against the player, and biased towards, and biased for the AI. So this battle isn't as bad because this is the first battle of the whole, like, of all the historical battles. So usually it's easing us into it. It's not that difficult. But once we get to some of the more, or some of the other battles, you'll start to notice it becomes very, very, like, it becomes quite difficult. Like, as you can see here, the Austrians are at 73 men, and it's not really looking like they're going to break. They are standing their ground. Basically, putting the difficulty on very hard makes it so AI units take longer to break. I've seen historical battles where, on very hard mode, where, you know, units are down to about 20 men and they still don't retreat. It's insane. It's harder to kill them, so if you're in line battles, they have the advantage. They're able to be more accurate and reload quicker. If they're in hand-to-hand combat, they're more devastating in hand-to-hand combat, so they're good at just, once they're in hand-to-hand combat with your guys, there's a very obvious bias towards the player. Which I don't really agree with. I think they should have at least coded it, or attempted to code it, so that, you know, at least the AI plays smarter, not so we're just, you know, doing lazy things. But anyway, here we go. We've got the light infantry firing upon the enemy, upon the German Fusiliers, and quite a devastating volley. The cavalry has positioned themselves here, ready to attack. I'm in the mind to send forth some infantry over here, actually. I might bring them into the village. So these guys are probably going to break soon. So they're at 54 men and they're only shaken. I feel like they should be wavering at this point. Right, I'm going to unlimber that artillery. I think you've done a good job. I think now, well, I'm going to get Napoleon in there, actually. I thought I just told you on limber. We've got 2 regiments here that we can use, so let's get them across. It looks like the Austrians are attempting to cross here. We've broken the German Fusiliers. We've got Grenzers here. These guys will probably be a bit harder to kill. And that's alright. We've got these German Fusiliers over here. Looks like the Austrians are coming back across the river, so they're not going to sit over here anymore. We've got Landwehr. Let's get a regiment here, and then we'll get a regiment down this street as well to support the general. These guys are grenadiers, so they shouldn't have too much of an issue taking out these dudes. See, 44 men, and they're only shaken, and not even wavering. That's just wild to me. Alright, we've defeated the Austrians over here. We've got more Grenzers coming, interestingly. These guys are on the run. And then soon we'll be able to get the cavalry to charge that artillery. We also have artillery that have positioned themselves on the other side of the river here. The general here is over here, Johann Beaulieu. Somehow we defeated the artillery, interestingly. The Austrians are on the run here. Alright, let's get our grenadiers ready to go over here. We have our revolutionary infantry in a firefight with Landwehr. The Landwehr seem to have the upper hand at the moment, interestingly. Yeah, infantry's coming through here. Let's get our other infantry ready to go here as well. I'm going to have you cease fire so you don't shoot the backs of your own men. Let's get you firing on them. Okay, that's not what I wanted you to do, but anyway. I'll get you over there. So I'll get you to take up position here as well. Oh, okay, that artillery's firing canister. That's pretty scary. That's alright. We'll deal with that. Let's get you guys to go over there. And the dragoons can go over here. They're going to hunt down the general. Oh, that canister's not hitting us. Alright, we've got the Landwehr. They're charging bayonets against grenadiers. Hopefully we should win this fight, because grenadiers versus militia, usually we should win that. We've got more revolutionary infantry coming up. These guys are surrounded on two sides, so they shouldn't stand for very long. There's two German Fusilier regiments still over here. The cavalry's crossed the river. We've engaged the artillery, and they will not stand for very long. We'll get some infantry support across the river as well. Let's get the dragoons over here. And the artillery's gone. These are chasseurs, so I'm gonna get them to gallop over here and use their carbines to shoot the artillery crew to bits. That is my plan. Looks like the Austrians are conducting a mass rat at the moment. And here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and get my infantry over here. We've defeated the Landwehr. The Austrians are going to withdraw over the bridge to join their allies here. The chasseurs shooting down the artillery crew, although they're not getting any hits for some reason. Our dragoons are very close to the general, so I'm going to send them over here and we're going to do an opportunistic attack. Okay, these guys have a building in their way, so... Oh, here we go, cutscene. There we go, he's leaving the field just in time for my dragoons to get right behind him. Perfect timing, I do say. Almost like I know what I'm doing. We're just going to charge him straight away. The Austrians are attempting to cross the bridge. This is pretty much the reverse of what happened historically. It was actually the French who charged over this bridge. So what actually happened is Napoleon brought up his artillery on this side of the river. And he actually loaded the cannons, or sighted the cannons himself. And this is the battle where he developed the nickname, the Little Corporal. Because as a general, he was there doing a corporal's job, which was sighting a cannon. So he was on the other side of this river, sighting the cannon, essentially daring his own troops to charge the bridge, sort of urging them to do it. And then they go ahead and charge the bridge and defeat the Austrians, just like I am right now. And yeah, it was GG for the Austrians, just as it is now. So there we go. Austrians absolutely shattered. I'd say that's quite a flawless victory. I don't think we lost a single unit. I don't think any unit routed from the field. We've kept all our units at a pretty healthy number as well. I'm actually I don't think that could have gone any better. Very light casualties indeed. As you can see here, most of the casualties are the Austrians, and they're all on the run. They're all retreating back to Mantua, which we will besiege them in Mantua. And that's what happens to the Austrians, essentially, is they're forced to withdraw to the city of Mantua, and they're pretty much besieged there for the rest of the campaign. And it becomes a very desperate siege. The Austrians essentially are almost starved out to the point where they resort to eating rats and whatever else they can get their hands on. They run out of food. Disease is rife. You know, they're losing something like, they're losing hundreds of soldiers each day just purely to disease. It's quite a gruesome like siege, a gruesome like war of attrition. A good example of a siege where you starve out your enemy. And a couple of times the Austrians sortie out and try to attack the French. Usually they were pretty poorly coordinated, and they didn't really go anywhere. And then they essentially give up because they were told that they were getting rescued by another Austrian army, and they get defeated at the Battle of Rivoli, which is another one of Napoleon's great victories. Unfortunately, it's not represented in vanilla Napoleon Total War, but however, it is represented in the mod I do have installed at the moment, Napoleonic Total War 3. So there actually is a historical battle of Rivoli that we could play, and I'd be very keen to actually do a video on that one day, because it's one of the most fascinating battles of Napoleon's career, one of the most intense ones, definitely. But there you go, that's the Battle of Lodi. The Austrians are on the run, we've occupied the town, and it's a victory for the good man, the good general Napoleon over here, right here. So yeah, let's end it there and check out the casualties. That's it, Northern Italy is mine. Very good. So decisive victory for the young French general. At this stage he is a brigadier. Let's have a look here. So, wow. 276 losses to the Austrians, 1,525. There you go. That is a very one-sided battle. And I swear to you, this was on very hard. The difficulty was on very hard. So it's interesting that, yeah, they were absolutely annihilated. But there you go. That's the Battle of Lodi. One of the epic moments of Napoleon's career, represented in Napoleon Total War. I very much hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope to sort of continue this, making more videos doing a video on each battle. So the next one in line, because we're going to go in order of dates, they actually represent another Italian campaign battle. So the next one's the Battle of Arcole, or the Battle of Arcole, or however you want to pronounce it. Another legendary moment of Napoleon's career, but we'll talk a bit more in depth about that one once we get to that battle. That's also in the year 1796, so it's not too long after this battle. Napoleon is essentially driving the Austrians to the east, and Arcole is not a great victory. It's a very hard fought victory for Napoleon, but Napoleon very damn near loses that battle. But once again, I will be happy to talk about that more once we get to that battle. So without further ado, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Ta-ta.